Probably, maybe from the beginning, there has never been a greater enemy to Israel than Barack Obama. It's incredible the way he treats them, the way he's speaking to them. I think he treats our known enemies much better. How are you supporting this man? He's the worst thing that has ever happened to Israel. Now, what's going to happen is, the way it's going, Iran will have a nuclear weapon. As soon as that happens, and it's very close, as soon as that happens, it's a whole new ballgame.
Presidential candidate Mike Huckabee is standing by his controversial comments, effectively equating Barack Obama to Adolf Hitler. Quote, marching Israelis to the door of the oven with the Iran nuclear
deal with Iran.
He's so naive, he would trust the Iranians and he would take the Israelis and basically march them to the door of the oven.
That under the Obama nuclear deal, over $100 billion will flow to Iran. Iran is the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, so much of that money will end up in the hands of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and other radical Islamic terrorists. And if this deal goes through, the Obama administration will become quite literally the world's leading financier of radical Islamic terrorism. Now, President Obama didn't dispute that. He didn't point to any other entity on earth that would send more money to radical Islamic terrorism. He didn't dispute that billions of dollars in the control of the American government will be used to fund jihadists who will take that money and murder Americans, murder Israelis, murder Europeans.
If Franklin Roosevelt delivered a nuclear weapon to Hitler and $150 billion in ballistic missiles to carry on terrorist attacks against America and the West, what would you call Roosevelt?
Well, that's not what's happening.
This Obama, you have to say this man is a Jew hater. He doesn't really care if Israel is absolutely wiped off the face of the earth. I don't care what he says. I don't care how much Iron Dome he delivers. What he's doing is he has his legacy by his own determination is to build up Iran and introduce it into the community of nations when it is worse than Nazi Germany, because Hitler hid the final solution. He didn't shout it from the rooftops.
Wait a minute. You're accusing, are you Obama of being akin to
Kerry
Adolf
is,
Hitler?
you know, he's a family member with whatever it is.
David, are you accusing Obama of being akin to Adolf Hitler?
Everything he does is against what Christians stand for, and he's against the Jews in Israel.
You mentioned your Christian faith. Yesterday you took off after the Republicans for suggesting you have Muslim connections. Just a few minutes ago, Rick Davis, John McCain's campaign manager, said they've never done that. This is a false and cynical attempt to play victim.
You know what? I mean, these guys love to throw a rock and hide their hand. Let's not play games. What I was suggesting, you're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that has not come my Christian faith.
Obama has gone completely onto the other side. He's now supporting Al-Qaeda. He's supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. He's supporting the Shiites in Iran, even though they're developing nuclear weapons that they could potentially use against Israel. We're no longer fighting radical Islamic terrorism. We're funding it and arming it. We, in a sense, created ISIS. That Obama has supported the Muslim Brotherhood, which is going back to World War II. And Nazis. The Muslim Brotherhood not side with Hitler. They've been a radical Islamic destabilizing force determined to destroy Israel and then to destroy the United States.
President Obama making a shocking comparison at the National Prayer Breakfast, equating Muslim extremism to Christianity. When you talk about propaganda, the only thing propaganda does right now is help recruit for ISIS and strengthen the enemy. Let me ask you this. Not only did the president not protect Christians and in fact really go after them, attacking them by invoking the name of Christ yesterday, some would say, but he continued on the path of not calling the enemy what it is, not saying radical Islam. Don't you believe that in not saying that, he's actually protecting radical Islam by not calling it out?
Was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
You can't force the people of Israel who've just elected me by a wide margin to bring them peace and security, to secure the state of Israel, to accept terms that would endanger the very survival of the state of Israel. I don't think that's the direction of American policy.
Meanwhile, there's back and forth with the White House and the State Department saying there may be a change in U.S. policy when it comes to the two-state solution, pushing the UN to pressure Israel to do that. Here's exactly what Prime Minister Netanyahu said before the election the other day about this topic. This is through a translator. Anyone who is going to establish a Palestinian state, anyone who is going to evacuate territories today is simply giving a base for attacks to radical Islam against Israel.
How can you make a peace agreement, a two-state solution, hand over control of the West Bank to a government that includes Hamas, which is not only dedicated to the destruction of Israel, but rules a territory called Gaza, from which it has twice initiated terror wars because it simply will not accept Israel's existence?